Requiem for London. Tonight we once again set the scene within the beautiful Elysium of London's Guildhall, one of the oldest buildings that remain within the city of London. Isobel, you've just gotten out of your conversation of Adele, and much of Elysium is now winding down. The elder that announced herself at Elysium, Lady Eliza. You notice some of the Invictus are calling her Lord Eliza. Has
down for later.
Oh, pardon?
I'm noting that information down for later.
She has largely retreated from Elysium now. She didn't speak too much to kindred outside of Invictus circles, other than a few of your colleagues. Outside of that, she spent most of her time with known members of the establishment, including the king, and a brief introduction to the queen before going about her business and seemingly leaving the Elysium. Francesca has taken up a position around the balcony. She's sort of standing over the balcony on the left side that overlooks the entire hall, seeing a scattered number of kindred wandering around, snapping at each other like sharks.
I will join her at the balcony, and this is and she'll make the note of, this is a much better spot than sitting in a corner. I might start coming up here instead.
I suppose. It feels... I find it better up here than down there.
It's a good place to watch other people and not have them watching you.
Perhaps it's just that. She struggles for a moment to find words. It's just very... unending.
In what way?
It's supposed to just... I suppose to refer to this evening, or at least to give an example about this evening, I don't know how I feel about Lady Eliza's return. I mean her no disrespect, but it feels as if she's living out of her own time. I know she's only been awake for a short time, but I'd like to think if I lived to her age and arise from a long period of slumber that I would have a greater appreciation for the present. In any case, the old knights are certainly not returning to her. And even the Invictus has changed since the 19th century.
You sound unhappy.
It's... I'm not sure that it's I'm unhappy, but I spent a great period of my life attempting to write a very broken system. Contrary to what many kindred believe, I find that times generally change for the better, not the worse. If I had to choose between now and a century ago, I would choose now. It was not so long ago that either of us were barely considered a step up from somebody else's property.
I don't know about you, but I definitely don't like being seen as property. You are right though about the times changing being better. Some of our elders seem to be too far stuck in the past, but as times change, we have to as well.
A creature that does not adapt, well, they die. I think our elders forget that sometimes. It is just frustrating. Perhaps it was because she was old even back then. Perhaps it's just because she is old. I don't know. She just doesn't remember what it was like.
I feel like she will learn in the coming nights. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is yet to be seen.
I just hope that her old strategies are still effective. If she's going to intervene in the conflicts around the domain, I wouldn't want her making them worse.
Yes, that would be terrible if that were to happen.
There's already a troubling amount of tension within the domain.
Yes, and the last thing we need is any more.
Yes, but then part of me thinks perhaps that's necessary, I don't know.
Well, you know, with your seeming feelings of discontent and the unfortunate not knowing or the unfortunate uncertainty of how things are going to play out in the future, I have some friends that you might like to meet. They may be able to help you figure out some things.
Friends? What sort of friends? She sort of raises an eyebrow.
Friends that I would trust to watch my back. Friends who helped me when I was in a very, how to say, rough spot, I suppose, is how I would phrase it. They're often very good when you don't know what to do at giving suggestions or a slight push towards the right direction.
I'm not a broken doll, Isobel. I can handle myself.
I didn't think you were. But it is always nice to have friends to talk to about things.
I suppose. In a sense, I suppose I shouldn't be too angry. I'm sure I'd like to be treated how Lady Eliza is when I wake up, if I wake up. There is something frustrating about it to see everybody keel over to somebody who doesn't even have the faintest clue what is going on. Could she roll me wits politics if you like?
No, 0 successes.
Okay. You can't roll me empathy then.
Let's see. Do I have empathy? I do. What am I rolling with empathy?
Wits empathy. Wits went from one of the worst stats in the game to the best, because it's now the perception stat.
Yeah. Single success on that one.
You get the sense that the way she's speaking around you, I mean, she speaks quite loosely, but you also get the sense that she wouldn't want to be caught hard. Like, she wouldn't want to be caught saying that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's when she says it, you do notice she's sort of saying this, not really looking directly at you, but when she says that, you do notice she sort of her face just sort of turns to the side. It's a sort of casual motion, but you catch it.
Isobel will smile slightly. Once more, it sounds like you're discontent with how things are.
I just think some of those within my sect would do well to open their minds.
My friends and we can help you to help make those changes that you want to see.
I certainly hope these friends of yours aren't Carthian.
No. under the likes of Ben Smith? Absolutely not.
Good, because I'm not going to lower myself to their level.
We wouldn't dare.
Good, because I'm not a rambling street punk. His only form of protest is to draw some edgy anarchy symbol on the side of a street.
No. We want real change.
I didn't know you had political inclinations, Isabel.
I used to not. And then accidents happened.
What do you mean?
At Elysium with the Queen.
Oh, I remember. Yes. I do apologise for having for that being brought up in Elysium. I know it was likely not very comfortable for you.
It's quite alright. One day eventually it'll be a distant memory in people's minds. But I understand that now it's still fresh, and why would people not want to talk about it?
We tend to find ample opportunities to discuss people's problems without actually working on how to repair them.
It's always easier to talk, but never easy to do, and you'll find most of the kindred in this domain would rather talk instead of do.
I just find it oh so empty. I've never had a wall I couldn't climb before. I've spent my whole life doing it, and I've spent much of my own life doing it, but when I look at kindred like Lady Eliza, or the King, and to some extent even the Queen, I'm not entirely sure what I should be doing. It's not even the Invictus, the Sanctified are equally calcified. The movement is a mess, as is the Ordo, and the Circle appears to have its own agenda.
Everyone has their own agenda in the end, but yes.
I suppose the Circle has helped in loosening my sect's bindings somewhat. Hopefully they'll take more of it on board. The current king has helped as well, I suppose. Perhaps you'll know the truth behind this. She says, sort of something almost popping into her head, like it's her eyes just sort of squint as she considers something, and turns to you. I heard the Queen was a diplomat of sorts, yet she appears so authoritative and domineering, almost like an Invictus. Or a stereotype of one of us, at least.
Isabel kind of blinks. As far as I know, she's prone.
You can actually roll me intelligence politics if you like. Do you have circle status?
Let me see. Yes. Yes.
Okay, you can add your Circle of the Crone status to this roll.
Okay. Seems like tonight 6 is just my number for how many dice am I rolling? 2 successes.
Okay. Well, you are right, Isobel, in that unless the Queen has pulled some sort of immense gambit, she is a crone. And she is very authoritative, and she is a queen. When it comes to the truth behind the diplomat thing, though, you are aware she is a member, or rather the leader of the Wayne Kin, and the matriarch of the crone as a whole. The Wayne Kin are believed to negotiate with other supernaturals for fringe perks. They've actually had quite a heavy hand in London's history throughout the centuries. They're second native to England, or the UK as a whole. Oh, go ahead.
So she's probably just used to having people listen to her and not really have to deal with people ever attempting to gainsay her.
You think, that's definitely true of kindred, of the supernatural she may take a lighter touch with. Two sides to every person.
Yeah. Isobel will shrug. I don't know her very well. The woman, quite frankly, terrified me before she was queen. I think we broke that with the with being turbo bound to the
You're right, yeah. That's why I couldn't find it.
turbo bound to set.
Yeah, what do you tell,
Yeah, she will mention, she will, you know, she after, she's quite an imposing woman if you ever have to deal with her one-on-one, or as close to one-on-one as one can. She is leader of the Wang Ken, but I'm not quite sure what you are hoping to learn.
It's just... that's what I heard. She didn't... for someone of her reputation of a diplomat, she just didn't seem like one. I was just hoping it might be true.
I've never seen her dealings with others, so I'm not 100% sure about how she would act there. All I can go off of is what I've seen here and with the crone.
That's worrying then. I don't want another court where everyone's just expected to toe the line. I'm not sure how much you knew about the last prince, but, well...
I know my sire was certainly a fan of the last one.
Even the unconquered of tonight will tell you he was not a kind man or a good one. One might even go as far to say he was a monster. We always had to tiptoe around him. He had 101 different personalities depending on who you were and what you needed or wanted.
It's certainly not good at all.
Turns out he wasn't just a prince. He was also the sheriff that had been hunting down kindred that gainsayed him. I suppose we should have saw it sooner. The cat and their masks and everything.
Yes, we do love those. The masks and our shadows and whatnot.
Oh, yes, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to come across as so rude to you.
Isabel just smiles. It's quite alright. Everybody has their own opinion. And people are allowed to have those, despite what our elders would like us all to think.
Does the casual clanism annoy Isabel in any way?
No.
I'm glad to hear it. I'm sure there's no shortage of things that are said about my clan behind our backs, so I suppose it is what it is.
Yes, it will unfortunately happen, and goes right back to people liking to say a lot of things, but not liking to do a lot of things, and that's why it gets said behind their backs, so that they don't have to do anything about it.
I know she sighs a lot. It's an oddly human thing she does. I suppose. I'm just not even sure what I want to be aiming for. I want things to be not less structured, but more open, tolerant perhaps.
Isabel will put a hand on her shoulder if she'll let her.
Shouldn't stop you.
Like I said, I have some people that you can talk to who may be able to help you find a path.
Make me a manipulation or presence plus persuasion roll.
Let's go for the same dice roll I played. So I'll just go with manipulation. Boo, 0 successes.
She remains a little bit skeptical. She sort of, when you put your hand on her shoulder, she will turn slightly. You sure seem to put an awful lot of stock in your friends, Isabel. I suppose I should be flattered to some extent. I can only assume you put the same amount of faith in me.
Oh, of course I would.
Is that true?
More or less. It's not quite fully.
You know what time it is?
Manipulation subterfuge?
Hey. Subfu. The martial art of poker facing your ass off.
One success.
Okay. You sound genuine. It's only a half truth. You put more or less the same amount of trust in her. Then again, you were sent to earn her trust, not necessarily trust her yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I know you said they helped you out of a rough spot before. What happened? She sort of turns your hand, sort of slips off back to its side, but she will face you quite directly.
Isabel will kind of look up at the ceiling for a moment before giving her own very human sigh. After the issue with the Elysium that time, I was pretty much given an ultimatum of work with me or die, and that from the Queen, and I was very much so not keen on that. So they offered me an out, and it wasn't easy, but I took it, and I'm glad I did. I didn't enjoy being under the thumb of my sire, and I didn't want to be under the thumb of the Queen. And now I more or less get to do what I want.
This must be some very connected friends if they're able to offset the Queen's influence like that. I hope you don't mind me saying I'm a little bit more worried than enthused, not for myself, but for you. Just seems like, well, not many kindred or associations would be capable of such a thing, which leads me to believe that they're not. But I suppose you know them better than I do.
I don't know if it's necessarily knowing them better than anyone else. More so of... I'd rather trust the people that I can see and somewhat understand than the one who I definitely could not.
She processes your statement for a second. And she sort of backtracks to an earlier point. I'm sorry to hear that you went through that with her. With Her Majesty, I mean. I'm sure that must have been an awful experience for you.
It was terrifying in the moment. Terrifying now, thinking about it. Also terrifying of thinking about what she would do if she found out.
You've seen Isobel and Francesca look troubled before. She's been a little bit troubled this entire meeting. But a few times you've spoken of her, she seems to have bouts of uncertainty at times. Though the look she gives you when you go over your ordeal with the Queen, it's almost like a look of slight sadness and disappointment. You've seen her look troubled before, you haven't really seen her look fragile before. Makes me wonder how far down this whole chain goes.
Ones such as us will probably never know.
I'm not sure why I expected any different. She's old and authoritative and in a position of authority. I'm not sure why I even expected that she would be capable of anything less. Let alone to yourself.
Because it's easy to put your faith in someone who has a position of authority like that. But then that in turn makes it easy for them to use you how they want you. And it opens you up for things like what happened with me.
But then what is the solution? One cannot fight from without. We've seen the Carthians try and fail.
That's why we fight from the shadows.
She looks at you again, raises another eyebrow.
One cannot expect to make a big change overnight, nor can they expect to do it alone. They have to be able to have access to those who can help them along the way. And it's the little differences that make the big differences, eventually.
She nodded. I've seen that myself. It's rarely a sea change. I think many of us, it's odd. There are those among us who expect things to change overnight, and there are those among us who play the long game but expect things to never change at all. The worst part is that it all seems effective. But I suppose these are your friends again?
Mm-hmm. Friends, mentors. I guess sometimes you could say family, if that's how you want to view it. It's...
Given the nature of my affiliation and my blood, I'm not sure I would be welcome then.
I think you'd be more surprised.
Well, I do trust your words. You have been nothing but honest of me since we met, so I suppose it would not do much harm to have a word with your friends, as you put them.
Mm-hmm. Skull smiles. They will be very happy to hear that.
Well, she actually does take a moment to sort of process what that means. Well, I suppose that is better than them being angry. I'm surprised figures of such stature would be interested in having a word with one such as myself at all.
Like I said, it takes little changes to make big changes. It does not matter if you think of yourself as being insignificant. Everybody has a place.
And I suppose I shall have words with them. I am uncertain of my place, both with my blood and my sect. I feel like as if I am a minority within my own circles.
That is never a good feeling. But, you know, she's gonna hold out a hand. We can find your place together.
She'll hold your hand with both of hers. And they'll say, "It reassures me to hear that, Isobel."
Glad it does. You've been a very good friend.
You speak as if it's in the past tense.
No, I do wish to, or I do hope that you continue to be such a good friend.
I'm just joking, my dear. I know I can be very difficult to approach at times. It's by design. But I am capable of humor, I assure you.
I will keep that in mind.
Well then, may we depart?
Of course.
I must be honest. It has been a far greater pleasure speaking with you than anybody else within this place, so I'd rather continue to do so, and perhaps we could speak of your friends tonight. Better elsewhere than here.
Yes, here would probably not be the best of places.
Prying eyes and open ears.
Indeed.
Well then, I can phone up my chaperone. Is there any place you would like to go in particular?
I don't quite remember where they trying to think of where the best place to go would be that would be safe, and I can't think of any place. I suppose if anything.
I know that the Sodites congregations are generally well hidden and off the record. Word of them, they're relatively infrequent and they don't always take place at the same location, but for a few individuals you know of, you know Nanette runs a tattoo parlor outside of Highgate. And your mentor, let me go find him. Oh yeah. Your mentor Mossweb. He well, you know where his haven is, if you wanted to go to that.
Yeah, Isabel would direct her to Mossweb instead of Nanette.
Okay. I assume you leave with her.
Oh yeah.
And I think, if it's okay with you, we can end the scene there.
Yeah.
Alright then. And with that, Isobel and Francesca depart to speak on matters of politics and personal philosophy with Lost Web. Thank you for playing. Thank you for watching. We'll see you all next time. Good night.